Hello, and good morning, good afternoon, good whatever it is, wherever you are. I am Bez Bonnie-Beth Shahriari, and I wanted to talk about how things are going, mainly with regards to my public output. I mean, I'm not going to get. I could talk for hours about my transition or whatever. I am going to share a few public things, vaguely private things. There's some family difficulties, some sickness. I'll leave it at that. I've been generally overwhelmed going to Thailand. I really appreciate the fact that finally I can buy stuff and pay for stuff, and I found somewhere I can afford to live, which is a massive deal. And I'm trying to take joy in things. I started HRT back in January, so that's my new birthday, 17th of January. And currently I might actually open a window because it's a lovely 33 degrees according to the thermometer. And if the window was open, there'd be a little bit of a breeze, which would be nice. But yeah, I would like to talk about games. So, I made a whole bunch of games last year, so many that I can barely think of them all. I made a game about mini missions to maximize joy. I made a game about taking turns bidding on stuff, aiming for majorities. Um, a game about sequencing screenshots of an old animation with 50 bits of writing by 50 writers. Let me talk a little bit more about these. I mean, there's a couple of others, but let's slow down. So, Categorical officially went on sale. I came back from Bangkok to be in the UK in May. I went to the Herefordshire May event. I went to Diceni and Norwich. And I think that next year I would probably return to the Herefordshire event, partially because of the opportunities that have been given by Adam Best and Elaine. They have really included me as part of that, and Dave Weatherall's been lovely allowing me to stay at their place afterwards, and it was a wonderful place to test. I mean, we improved Questabell. I'm proud of a game about sequencing screenshots of an old animation with 50 bits of writing by 50 writers, but it was so much effort to chase up people to say, please make this, please make this. And hey, the deadline was last week. Would you do it? Hey, the deadline was 2 weeks ago. What's going on? And then people submitting it like a month late, and for making it a lot more challenging than it really needed to be. But that's creatives for you, and I get it. I'm not the best with deadlines myself. I sent something late to Nikita, but I think that game and a co-design that's kind of being split up, it did burn me out a little bit. I will admit. I'd like to have a quick look at my page and talk a bit more about what I've made. And fundamentally, next year, I'm not going to make as many games. I'm almost certainly going to release a game about all alphabetical creatures and trying to identify them after some makes noises. But beyond that, I'm honestly not sure. Let's look at my page. Oh, I've got 50 things now. That's kind of cool. Oh yeah, I wanted to organize it by year released. So, oh yeah, Yogi's coming out soon. I worked a bunch on that. I had it submitted to them, something I was proud of before Spiel, like in September or something. They came back to me in January with a few comments. They said, "Oh," and then I did some more revisions. I shout out to Alison Shale, who's a professional yoga person. So great person to allow me to really test if everything is possible at the same time. A game about mini missions to maximize joy. Oh, that's a shame. There should be a screenshots of this. I'm really proud of this one, where let's see, is my deck down here? Yeah, so every day you've got these cards and they give you something to do, and the whole point is you do the thing, and then once you've done the thing, you flip it over and it's like, hooray, congratulations, you've done a thing. And it's about mini missions, getting outside, making your bed, giving a few things away, doing a tiny little puzzle, something that will hopefully, if you are sometimes a bit low like I am, then maybe it'll give you a little bit of a boost. I don't know. And yeah, a game about taking turns, bidding on stuff, aiming for majorities. Again, slightly sad that I need to get better, and this is actually what I'm going to drive at. I should be slowing down on what I'm making. There's some lovely artwork for the flowers and everything going on here, and you're trying to pay for the flowers using water. You're trying, and hello, Carl, it's lovely to see. I hope you're generally well. Thanks for popping in. Well, I should have put up a banner, but I feel I need to slow down on design. And part of the reality is that I wonder, it's about communication. Like, game making isn't just about making the thing and then hoping that people will spend the time to learn about it and engage with it. Game making really is so much about telling people what the thing is, making sure that it makes sense to people, if you know what I mean. Because if it doesn't make sense to people, if you are not telling people about it, how are they meant to know? And I've done a really bad job with that. And I think that's what I want to take forward. I mean, I just noticed that I don't even, surely it's on here somewhere, a game about, is it at the end because there's no date? No, that's really weird. Where is a game about sequencing screenshots of an old animation? Yeah, why? Oh, because I'm not the designer, of course. Okay, I should have checked stuff by Bez. So this game, the designer is deliberately uncredited, but it's basically a rip-off of Timeline and are like all of Ub Iwerks, if that I'm pronouncing their name correctly, the head animator for Disney, using all of their images. And there's 50 people, including all of these folk, myself, Glenn Ford, Matt, like Laura Wood, Biff Jackson, Eric Lang, working to write stuff. And for the record, like, this wasn't written in order of, I can't remember how this ordering worked, but like Ellie, right away when I said, hey, would you write something? She was like, yes, I will write something. But it's so much effort to get something, to release it, to have it available for UK Games Expo. So when I'm having 5 new things, I think, what's the point? Because it's not like I can give all those things enough attention. It's not like I can really tell people about all those things. It's not like I have the capacity, and my shop still isn't up and running. So over the next month, my primary goal is to get the shop back up and running. I've got a Shopify account. I'm going to move from my previous thing, Big Cartel, to Shopify, hoping I can connect it with Spiral Galaxy, who I'm going to start using as a distributor to finally remove myself from the process. Fingers crossed, I at least make a wee bit more money than the monthly ongoing costs for that. I mean, this year especially in the past few weeks, I've had a bit of an identity crisis. Parts of it is possibly linked to recent externally influenced depression. Like, sometimes bad stuff happens, like bigotry and, someone being super sick, and then you're sad for them, and it's not great. And then maybe you're kind of really low energy for like a month, and it's not great. But then at the same time, until last year, I'd been spending a ridiculous amount of time basically working on full-time game design, trying to make it a viable living. And I am blessed. I am so, so fortunate that I can survive on yogi, basically. And it's still selling. It's still like 7 years after they released it. 9 years actually today after I launched In a Bind, which is basically the same game. It's still selling. People are still excited about it. And that's amazing. And the fact that Gigamic is now relaunching it with new artwork and everything, I am excited for that. But also, the fact that I've not had anything kind of reach those levels since, it does make me a bit sad. And like, it's nice artwork. I'm looking forward to seeing the box, and I saw all the fronts of these cards before it was shared, which was nice. And I get what they're going for. It's like a bit more sort of child-friendly. It's a bit more brightly colored. Now there's, I think it used to be black text. I'm actually tempted to get my box out to compare. There it is. Yeah, this is the English version. And, no, like, it is white. It's just like the text. It's just a black background. And I think I personally slightly prefer Simon Caruso's art, but there's something glorious about what's going on here. So let me put down what are my objectives. Get my shop running, get Questabell into a prototype form, and make maybe 2 other things. That's it. I want to explore more types of games. Drawn Together, it worked okay. I think that I needed to develop it a bit more before sharing it with people. I don't think enough people were enticed by me saying, hey, it'll be really good, I promise, and it'll only be £1 right now. I think in this day and age of Kickstarter, even if it's literally £1, that doesn't guarantee you hundreds, let alone thousands of people. I mean, I am blessed to have, again, I've been doing this for 9 years. I've done like almost 20 games, and I've got a wee bit of a fan base. And I am grateful for that. I'm grateful for people who look into my games, who read up on them, who are like giving me the time to, not giving me the time, but choosing to spend their time with my stuff. I mean, whether they're playing Yogi or whether they're playing a game about mini missions to maximize joy, and I hope it resonates with you. I hope that my stuff makes you smile. And I was talking to Kirsten earlier today, and I'll be talking to her again in about 45 minutes. And the reasons I make games, firstly, to have fun. That's the main reason that I want to do this, because if you're not having fun making games, why are you doing it? It's yes, you can make money, but you never know what's going to make money. You can't be certain. Yes, you can make 10, 20 games and hopefully one of them will hit. You can be really lucky with your first thing like I was, or Elizabeth Hargrave. I mean, yes, there's a lot of skill there. There's also a lot of luck. I mean, if Tussie Mussy had been Elizabeth's first game, I hope she won't mind me saying this, like, if it had been Tussie Mussy and then Mariposas, would Elizabeth now be a full-time game designer? Possibly not. Like, maybe, I don't know. Like, if my first thing hadn't been In a Bind, now known as Yogi, I would not be able to be focusing on game design. And I would like to make something that is a financial success, like Yogi or Yogi Guru. It's basically that one thing that it sold like almost like 380 something thousand copies. Like, it sold a good amount. And yes, I would love to have another financial success. And if I could spend like half a year guaranteeing another financial success, of course I would do that. But if I'm in the absence of that certainty, I look at myself and I say, what would I rather do? And whatever, we've got limited time on this earth. And Carol, I will get to your comments and respond to it in just a moment. Thank you so bloomin' much for that lovely comment. But we have a limited time on this earth, and I don't want to spend another 9 years chasing after a financial success that might come or might not come. I have enough money that if I spend most of my life in Bangkok, I can afford to live. I can't afford to buy whatever I want or necessarily eat in a restaurant all the time, but even in Bangkok, but like I can, buy street food, eat like market food. There's lovely stuff, and it is because of my privilege, because I'm making money through games sold to a Western audience. And because of this, yeah, it is the unfortunate reality of the world. There is a global wealth disparity, and I'm able to live there for, I'm going to say, yeah, I could, even if I never got a good contract, like easily 400 per month, I could get to place, times 12, that's 4,800, and maybe like meals aren't that much. Like if you're spending more than £2 on a meal, that's something. So you can do the maths, but I can afford to live there. Then there's the question of, can I afford to come back? Can I afford to do UK Games Expo? I would be sad if I didn't do UK Games Expo next year. So I am going to do it, but I'm going to do it at a smaller scale. I'm going to do it at a scale where I've maybe got to stand half the size. I'm maybe having half the number of helpers. I don't know. But again, why am I doing this? That's the key question. And so I can't live in massive comfort, but given that I do have some what financial people would call passive income pretty much from the royalties of Yogi, I could be doing some stuff to improve profits, like get my shop bloomin' sorted out, which is as I said, a high priority for this month. I was really hoping it would be done this week, but we need some talk about integration. I need to sort out some of the logistics and palaver and stuff of Shopify. And it was really helpful when I had someone to help me because I really struggle with forms and stuff. But yes, I want to make money. But more than that, I want to make stuff that I'm proud of. Questabell, I am bloomin' proud of. A game about mini missions to maximize joy, I am bloomin' proud of. Like, I don't want to have games that come out and then immediately I'm like, oh, well, I had to cut this corner, I had to cut that corner. I'd like to spend a tiny bit more effort on them if I'm self-publishing. I would like to make things that, I mean, everything I've made, I do feel some pride in. And like, I would like to continue stepping outside of that, not just doing party games, not just doing speed games, but maybe making a game that's inspired by Poi Pets, where you've got Cambodian, what's it called? I think it's Cambodian dollars, and then you've got the US dollars, that's actually the more common currency, and then you've got the Thai baht, which only in Poi Pets, because it's a border town, lots of places actually want. And then that got me thinking, wow, this is a weird place. And because I converted for some US dollars while I was there, and then I realized afterwards that I really didn't have to. And then the second time I just went in with Thai currency and I spent that. But that whole thing aside, I made up a game that was loosely based on that, about multiple currencies. It's not quite working, but it's on the way there. I've made up a speed kind of bag building map, like action drafting, and then you've got stuff going on, like place your orders and then do your programming, like when you place, okay, what actions am I going to do this turn? And then everyone does it. And then once you've got your full rectangle filled, and that would be like a double layer board, or maybe just like a hole cut out of it, then it's like, stop, I've done, okay, now I do all my actions, everyone else does all their actions, and that bit's turn-based. And like, I'm really excited by that. And it would be nice to go back to nicer boxes. Like, if I look at the L deck, I mean, I'm proud of this box. It's a nice box, like functionally. I'm not going to punch this because I've only got like 20 of these left. But I used to let people jump on these, like literally at conventions. It would be like that, and then people jump and nothing would happen. One person did put it that way and then jump on it. And yeah, sure enough, if you put it that way and jump on it, it's more of a stress point. But it's still a pretty bloomin' resilient box. And it's not just about the box being resilient. It's about the whole thing feeling like, oh, this is going to stay together. This feels a bit more deluxe, having like nice linen finish cards and paper rules. It is a bit of an upgrade compared to not just the bags, but the tuck boxes that I normally use. And so, yes, more than profit, I want to focus on making stuff that I'm proud of. But honestly, like the number one thing I want to do is try to find joy in it and rekindle that joy, because the past week, or I was up in Glasgow for 1 week. Immediately before that, I took something to playtest, and it was nice. I always enjoy seeing people trying my thing and being like, oh, did I expect what they would do? Are they surprising me? And by the end of the first playtest, it's always a bit different. And I've always got ideas of what to do next and how it could be better. Sometimes I'll do a complete redesign. Sometimes it's like, okay, this is broadly working, but like, that's the part that I love, the playtesting, the seeing people enjoy it. That's why I love going to conventions, seeing people actually play my stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because for all the hundreds of thousands of copies of Yogi that have been sold, I don't get that many comments about it. I mean, yeah, there's a bunch of comments, and that's brilliant. like there's not that much validation of me being able to say, oh wow, these people really enjoyed it. Whereas when I go to a convention and I see people actually playing my stuff, when I run a 2 p.m. event, that is the time that I enjoy it. When I see people playtesting the thing, whether it's, oh, that didn't work, oh, cool, now I've learned something, now I've improved my skills as a designer, or maybe it's, hey, they did actually really like this, it's working really well. And I made a kind of roll and write auction game that I don't think there is another roll and write auction game out there, so let me know if there is, but I call it Pancakes or Death. And it's a game about bidding how much you would spend on some dice, and then you use those dice to cross off numbers and do special effects. And if you manage to roll, I think it's like 9 5s, then you win the game. But then some of the other special effects let you modify dice or get a free 5. And then the 6s are skulls. The 6s aren't able to be modified. I'm proud of it. Do I want to finish it? Do I want to share it with people? And that's the weird thing. I'm not totally sure, because it's not just about the efforts of design. It's also about the effort of publishing, of getting the files ready. Yeah, I kind of enjoy illustration, but it's about the effort of marketing, of telling people about it, of making a Kickstarter work or selling it or whatever. And that's not the part that I'm best suited for. I consider myself a pretty good designer. I consider myself an okay illustrator, and I consider myself a terrible logistics, person, if I'm being honest. And but what I'm basically saying is I need to rekindle my love of stuff. I need to rekindle my love of design. I do still love games. I played a few games. What was the last one I really enjoyed? Sorcerer and Stones. And I played that and I was like, yeah. But yeah, my primary focus is going to be on trying to rekindle the joy of design, and any suggestions will be much appreciated. So let's get to some comments. Hello, Xate. It is lovely to see you. And thank you very much. International BezDay indeed. And I am going to also be streaming in 30 minutes with Kirsten Lund. Carl says, I've only heard positive things about you and your games in the hobby. You're innovating, bringing joy, leading by example, and inspiring others. I mean, I really appreciate that. When you say leading by example, it's almost like more pressure to be doing, like, maybe I'm like fishing for compliments or digging too much into it, but what examples are there? Xate says, should I share some not only positive stories? Like, once upon a time, Bez wore blue socks. I have photographic evidence. I will say that I am only wearing 2 red things today. And I'm also wearing one thing that is not red at all. So yeah, my spectacles for a long time have never been red. But yeah. Okay, so what was I going to talk about? I talked about the past year. It's gone okay. I managed to emigrate. I managed to make connections in Bangkok. I managed to meet up with a lot of the other game designers. I managed to go to like 12 something board game cafes, and I managed to make, I think I would say, like 3 or 4 friends who will actually prioritize spending time with me, which is awesome. And I'm looking forward to going back and seeing Alison and Faranak and also hopefully Moment and Adelaide Konig. Like having people who choose to spend time with you, I think is the most beautiful thing. And I'm sorry I'm not coming to Germany. I do feel slightly sad about that. Um, yeah, that is actually, I feel pretty bloomin' awesome. Um, I managed to convince someone who hates the heat to book a ticket to the hottest place I have ever lived. I mean, I've not lived in that many places, but I am going to say it is 33 degrees here right now. And in winter in Bangkok, it's only 32 degrees. uh, um, sometimes it's 33, but it's only 32 normally. But yeah, you should be fine. Like based on the temperature that I think you mentioned in Germany, I think you're getting used to it. Um, those connections are such an important thing for me, and I'm really happy to know you, Xate. And Carl, like maybe we can chat on video or something, because this sort of chat, whether it's asynchronous or whether I know there's an asymmetry, and okay, I'm talking a lot and then occasionally you type stuff, but yeah, I hope that this can also be the start of a connection. Um, I grew up in Texas. I fled. I did not get used to it, says Xate. Okay, questions. Have you ever collaborated on a design? Would you be open to it in the future? Yes, I have collaborated on several. I would say that I collaborated loosely and asynchronously on a lot of LDEC games in the past, like Categorical from Tom Cauldron. Tom submitted something, I tinkered with it, and then it came out. And like Biddable, like from Xate and Alex Cannon, I might have changed it in ways that they disapproved of, and it wasn't really the best collaboration. I don't know. With Kirsten Lund, that's the best collaborator. That's the best collaborator I could ever ask for. We met weekly, we got to know each other as people, and we got to talk about our game regularly. And yeah, it's been such a lovely thing, and I'm really excited to have people actually check out the game now. I'm going to actually just look at the booklet to show off Questabell again. Other collaborations. I started collaborating with a bunch of folk in 2021. One was with Matthew Dunstan and Alan Paul that technically continued a little bit further. None of us were super excited about it. With Tiz Creel, I made Seize the Power. That worked out well, but we've not seen each other for like a year now, and Tiz is hard for me to chase down. Oh, I'm sorry. Like it's all situational, and I'm not saying I like Kirsten more than you. I'm saying I like Kirsten was like we had an actual collaboration co-designing role. And I would definitely be up for more co-designing. Whoever I co-design with in future, I would like to be very clear that the number one priority is having a good time, making that connection. And if we don't get on, then let's just stop it. And oh yeah, I did submit that thing. I forgot about in a bond. But yeah, co-designs. Primary goal is to enjoy the process, because I think that making games itself has to be playful. I think that playfulness isn't just something you do with games. Playfulness is something you take into your whole, like the way you interact with things, being willing to just touch things, like listen to the sounds and not just guzzle Coke willy-nilly. I mean, water is a good thing to guzzle willy-nilly. Give me a minute. mean, water's a relatively healthy liquid, but then too often I find myself just eating chocolate or crisps just because it's there, if you know what I mean. And sometimes I'm really enjoying it, but it's about mindfulness. It's about like, are you really enjoying this? Like, what are you doing and why? I would love to do a book about that. I don't know if anyone would read it, but if at least a couple of people say they would, then maybe I will write it when I get back to Bangkok. So yeah, the number one priority is about joy, about being playful, about re-examining each week, each month. Why are we doing this? Are we having fun? Is this... Then the second priority is, are we moving to a place that we're proud of? Are we... If this doesn't meet our own personal goals of what a game should be, whether it's fun or inspiring someone or changing their way of thinking or just giving them an experience they wouldn't have otherwise had, yeah, I think that that's the second priority. And of course, I would like to be mindful that money is a good thing. Money allows me to buy food and to travel and to pay for places to stay and also potentially buy games. And so, yes, as long as our goals are aligned, I am right now very open to collaborating with anyone. Xate, go to Thailand to meet up to collaborate. Yes, if you want to come to where I am to collaborate, that will be super awesome. And if you're suggesting that we should collaborate more, that's a possibility. I'm assuming it's an offhand remark, and we can, of course, collaborate remotely. Mid-November to mid-July. April is the very hot month. I will say that April is not a great time to be in Bangkok. April, it's 39 degrees, and that's totally fine. Oh, you mean mid-November to December? Yeah, that makes so much more sense, yeah. And I've not forgotten. I've don't say those triggering snack words. Okay, I'll stop talking about... Yeah, that's all the stuff I wanted to say. Yeah, I talked about BezDay. I talked about reasons for game design. Illustration. I like illustrating stuff. I would like more people to give me arts requests. Like, do it in, like, I don't know where, like here or on Facebook or wherever. Just like make sure that I see it, and then ask me nicely to draw something. And yeah, although this reminds me that I was meant to draw something for Xate. I was meant to draw Xate as a pirate in the style of In a Bind. I still haven't done that. There's something interesting about illustration where sometimes... Yeah, I'm sorry. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Not literally, depending on how always is defined, because I'm definitely not thinking about anything every second. Yeah. Let's move on. Okay. I never actually... Oh my gosh, I am very sweaty. Wow. I might change my top. Sure, I will. You know what? I can afford to take you. I could afford to take you to the nicest place I've eaten in Bangkok. It's by the river. I'm going to give a trigger warning to people who don't like eating dead flesh, but you can go out. I had like, no, it's like, 1,000 baht. It's like 25 quid. Like you get a giant river prawn. It's not just street food. This is like a proper restaurant place. They've got a band playing, and then you can get mushrooms, and like they give you all these. Yeah, you do drink alcohol. I got like blue pea drink and also something else. And yeah, so then I guess I'd have to pay for units as well, which we can discuss it. Anyway, illustrations. I like illustrating. Again, I like it when it's playful, and I find that once it becomes too much of an obligation and the expectation becomes too high, then it starts to become less playful. It's difficult. It's like, I'm going to actually, let me see if I can, 2-page view. Wait, why isn't this working? Why is this not the 2-page view? This is clearly not a 2-page view, even though that's what's going on. What? Oh, there we go. Okay, so like going through, I just drew these little things. So that's Fip and Piff and some random books. And it's meant to sort of illustrate parts of Kirsten's story. I quite like how that basement of the library turned out. And then Fip and Piff are like this hideous otherworldly thing. Those are the creatures, and that's Jack Hugh Vexes. And there they are coming in. I did all of these illustrations over one weekend because I was like, I need to get this done. Let's do it quickly. Otherwise, I'll be holding up stuff. And when I have a deadline like that, I do get stuff done, but it doesn't generally feel like the most enjoyable way in and of itself. It is satisfying when I've done it, but then I don't get to really enjoy the moment-to-moment parts of it. And I think that taking the time to just be like, yeah, let's try a thing, that's something I want to move back to. Again, being playful in game design, being playful in illustrations. Validation, I'd like to talk about that, just in terms of, yes, I get validation from you being here. Say, thank you very much. And Carl, I appreciate you being in the audience. I appreciate you asking me questions. I appreciate you wanting, one of my things, Carl, I appreciate hearing that apparently play I appreciate that you play Kitty Cataclysm, and you've told me that you really like it 2 players. The new version is slightly tweaked, and it doesn't make much difference. I think the first edition is better just because of the production quality, but I like the card distribution from version 2 slightly better. But yeah, genuinely, I find that focusing on the positives, sharing those experiences is such a wonderful thing to do, because I don't think we get enough compliments in general life. And maybe it's connected. Well, it's definitely connected to me making a game about drawing creatures, complimenting the drawings and complimenting the compliments. But and it says, Carl, get in on this metagame, try to make Bez laugh and break concentration. It's too easy for me to win when Aqua isn't here playing against me. Yeah. What was I was talking about compliments, and I think they are such an important part. And I would love more people, if you have enjoyed something of mine in your recent memory and you've not left a comment or rating on Board Game Geek, I mean, yeah, you can tell me here, and that's lovely. But also, if you leave it on Board Game Geek, then I can, I mean, yes, it's, and hello, Slivers, it's lovely to see you. I am going to be going offline in a few minutes, and then Kirsten will join me after a tiny break. But yeah, we're talking about compliments, and I'm trying to encourage people to compliment my games. And just, it doesn't need to be my games. Like, if there's something you've played and you have a direct line of communication to the designer, then if you've got a direct line of communication to the designer, then tell them. If you don't, then if you enjoy something, take the time to put it on Board Game Geek. But yeah, I'm fishing for compliments. Joy, yeah, I think that recently I've realized that my joy is when I allow myself to be in the moment, when I allow myself to accept my what is. I went dancing yesterday, and did you see the train of thought leaving? I'm not shaking my head to say no, I'm shaking my head to say, just shaking my head at you. Anyway, yeah, joys. I think that I've realized that my joys are when I allow myself to think about myself, when I allow myself to be present, when I allow myself to not worry too much about perfection or some random standard, when I allow myself to be like, okay, you know what? This is what it is. This is, I don't know what's going to happen to this sick person. I don't know whether they're going to get better. I don't know whether they're probably not going to die. I don't know when they're going to. I believe that I struggle with uncertainty, and that's the biggest thing that I can learn. Sate says, but Bez Bonnie-Beth, you're already perfect, didn't you know? There is perfect in imperfection. And yes, I've said this in the past, nothing can be perfect, like outside of a mathematical construct, nothing is perfect. There's the whole, fractal element to, you can always find smaller and smaller details to improve, and perfection implies a static goal and some objectivity, more objectivity than really exists. Is the second edition of Yogi better than the first edition? I hope people will like it more. I hope it will spark more joy. I hope it will elicit more laughter. But yeah, I don't know. Like, there's an argument that the memory cards, which are all about movements and the way you speak, there's an argument that that detracts from the competition of, hey, how much can you contort? But if you weren't the biggest fan of contortion, but you do enjoy the being silly, then maybe this is a little bit more for you. I don't know. And yeah, there is subjectivity in everything, and it's impossible to even say with pure certainty, this game is better than this, or this version of this game is better. Slate makes, for a change, totally on topic points. If we were ever all the way perfect, it would mean we were at the end of all our growth and experience and would be flatlined, which to me is not perfect. Kind of like how to really enjoy the good things in your life, you have to have had an experience of things being other than. You have to have been sad or be without the things that you're now with to know the fullness of having. I mean, that doesn't count as +1 because an extra +1 because that comment was clearly off topic. But I do agree with you. And it's difficult. Let me get back to the dancing. Let me get back to the joy. Let me get back to the acceptance of who I am. I did a lot of swing dancing pre-pandemic, and then since the pandemic, I've not done it at all. I kind of want to swear at you, but I'm not going to because I don't swear on my own streams. Pre-pandemic, I did a lot of swing dancing, and I went there on Tuesday, which was 2 days ago. No, blimey. How come I'm messing up the days? I'm genuinely concerned now. No, it was on Wednesday. Yeah, it was yesterday. Sorry, I got totally confused. So I was dancing yesterday. It was hot, I was sweating, but I was a little bit frustrated, partially because the second class wasn't actually partner dancing. It was solo dancing, and we learned this long 3-minute shim sham routine, which isn't my favorite form of it, but also I wasn't picking it back up as quickly as I would have liked. And I felt a bit frustrated. And I spoke to someone about the teacher about my frustration, and I then chatted to some friends, and I made some plans for next week. I've got kind of a date on the Sunday and a friend dates on the Monday night, which will be really nice. And I'm planning to go back to swing on Wednesday. I'm really looking forward to it. Even though I seem to have forgotten the way that days work, I am genuinely looking forward to it, because next week we're going to learn the 8-step, and it'll be a chance for me to reacquaint myself with it. And it is challenging. I'm not able to be at a point instantly so I can go back into social dancing as I did a few years ago. And it's going to take me probably a few lessons to get back up to scratch. But I've got to be okay with that. And there is a feeling of frustration. There is a feeling of not being the person you want to be. There's a feeling of I might not be as good a designer as I would ideally like. There is this feeling of berating oneself, of wondering, do people care about my stuff? And there are a lot of voices in my head saying, maybe this doesn't matter. Maybe, you are replaceable. And to an extent, everyone is replaceable in the grand scheme of things. But then it's the connections I think you build with, fine kick's sake. I'm loving this gentle teasing. And yeah. And it's those kinds of connections that make me feel like, regardless of anything I design, or regardless of anything I'm actually feeling really blessed. Sorry, I'm getting kind of emotional. That I feel like, I do matter to individuals, and that's something really beautiful. I'm going to read out some comments and then head off for 5 minutes. Xate says, days work the same as yours. They move forward at an increasing speed the older you get, and sometimes you wake up and realize you missed a few. Can you get little ball gags sent for your ears to the little voices in your head? I am going to open a window because it would be nice to get some air in here, and it was raining earlier, so I closed them. If anyone has any questions, I'm going to answer them, but I'm definitely going to go off until 10:30 UK time, when I'll be back with Kirsten. And so, yes. I'm going off but just for a while. I'll be back in 5 minutes with Kirsten. And has she messaged me yet? No, and I'll send her the link. I'm going to StreamYard to find the other link for the thing. And if you're on Twitch, just stay there and I'll be back soon. But if you're if you're there on YouTube, then you'll have to enter another room in like 2 minutes. Great. So it is 11:30 in Germany, and it says I'll be heading off now because it's late here, so bed's calling. That's a large fluffy voice not actually in my head. I hope you have a lovely sleep and much love to you. Carl has a 2-part message. There's a reason you're a game designer. It's because a lot of other media art forms are experienced in solitary, but you are doing something with all your heart that brings people together through the experience of playing your games. That's worth a lot. I really appreciate that. I have wanted to be a game designer since I was a small child, and I saw my first video game. I originally wanted to be a digital game designer, and it was like, wow, these things are moving. You can do all sorts of things, and I can interact and stuff. But it wasn't to be. I did study that at university. I first studied a course that was meant to be about design, but then ended up being programming. And then I studied like 3D animation, but I never managed to get a job. And it's not something you can easily do on your own, especially not if you're hating programming in the way that I am. However, board games, you can just start doing the thing. You can just get into the mechanics. You can get straight into joy of, oh, what happens if I change this number? What happens if I swap these 2 rules around? Oh, what happens if people have to do these actions in a certain order? Oh, what happens if these things are in a circle and you've got like this rondelle, or like just combining things? And then I can make something in the morning and try it the afternoon. It says I am a digital game designer. Yeah, I've done other things as well as that, and like I did a game called Scares, and there's a fair few on Congregate and Newgrounds that I did in a past life, with possibly with a dead name, but there is. Yeah, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. And I do enjoy digital games. And there are definitely some things, the time frame, the fact that it can take care of rules so it can make things more accessible to people. I mean, I'm playing Azul Summer Pavilion, and I've never played it before. I've not read the rules. I've not had anyone teach me. I've not gone through the tutorial, but I'm just clicking around randomly, and I think I'm starting to understand how it works. And then maybe after a game, I'll be like, okay, now I'll read the rules. And there's something amazingly accessible to that, where, yeah, like, especially if something's designed for digital play. And yeah, that's the way you play, but it's obviously the devil is in the details. Or why do we say devil is in the details? Like God is in the details as well, I guess. Where did that expression even come from? Good things can be in the details and bad things can be in the details. Like details matter. That's what it all comes down to. And yeah, things matter. Details matter. but broad strokes matter more. And if I'm being honest, the next year I will be at conventions wise. I'm planning to be at Norwich Games Festival. I'm planning to be at as a exhibitor. I'm planning to be at three Thai festivals: the Simon thing, the book fair, and there's a Thai board game thing. I'm not sure if you'll be there for them, Xate, but I'll be going to stuff in Bangkok, and I'm planning to be back in UK for UK Games Expo. I'm looking forward to it, and I plan to release at least one thing. I plan to have like a nicer version of Questabell. I plan to have a new typeface, and I plan to be playful and give myself a day to make something that I might never print. Because when everything you make is for a purpose, when you forget about the joy of experimentation, when you forget about the joy of doing things for the sake of learning, when everything has to be results driven, I think at that point the joy comes out of life. I've been rambling a little bit longer than I wanted to, and I'm just talking to Kirsten quickly, but I will be off, and I will play a little lullaby to say goodbye. Unless there's any, got to go now, but glad to see the stream. As they say in French, courage. Okay. Bye bye, this is a goodbye song. Bye bye, bye bye, thank you for watching along. Bye bye, bye bye, this is the end of the show. Bye bye, bye bye, and now it's time to go. Bye, 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 bye. This is a goodbye song. And I'll be back in just a minute if you're watching on Twitch, so please stay there. And thank you for watching along. Or if you need to head off, that's also okay. Lots of love. Bye-bye. 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 Bye-bye.